G'day guys, welcome to my channel. I am Pete and this is Pete vs Plants, and this is my first favorite ofs videos. So I've seen a lot of other plant fluencers on YouTube and everything do videos of their favorite plants each month. I thought it's a good excuse for me to sort of have a yarn with you guys, have a chin wag, have a chat whilst I'm enjoying a coffee here. I've got to take a sip now because I know I will forget.
It's not an addiction if you can quit anytime you want, which I can.
Anyway, yeah, so I have picked out 6 plants that have been catching my eye every time I go through my collection this month. And let's just start with a bang. We'll go with a good one at the start. I've got a few Alocasias, a few Philodendrons, one Monstera. And yeah, the one at the end I think you're gonna really like, so stick around for that. Okay, Jesus, we're gonna have to get you guys a little further back, I think, because you're not going to be able to see anything. Let's see if I can show you this guy. This is one of my Thai Constellations, and I had to jump on the opportunity to buy this thing when I saw it come up on Facebook Marketplace because it was throwing out half moons. So
shut up and take my money.
When I got it, it had this leaf, and then the next most recent one for it was this one here, and there was one unfurling. And when I went and saw the plant to purchase it, the lady there opened it up. She sort of unfurled the leaf a little bit and showed me this beauty, and I was like, sold, I am sold. So to give you an idea of price, this was probably about 3 or 4 months ago when the prices were a lot higher here in Australia for Thai Constellations. They've since plummeted quite a bit, and they were asking, I think, $690, $700, and I got them down to $580. So I was pretty happy with that at the time, although now the prices have dropped even more.
No way, don't tell me that.
But I think this plant, because it's grown 2 leaves in the time, it's probably worth about the same, maybe slightly more if I'm ambitious.
He's dreaming.
But to be honest, there are so many Thai Constellations now for sale that the prices are being forced down.
They're coming! They're fucking everywhere!
The most recent leaf, which has come out as of this week, is this one, and although it's not a half moon, I am absolutely in love with it because it's just got these nice sectoral blocky chunks of this yellowy cream color as it comes out, and it will slowly go to white, as you can see on some of these leaves, or at least whiter. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. And I picked this one out because I saw the genetics were so good. So I sort of went through a Thai Constellation craze a few months ago and bought up quite a few large ones as investment plants that I thought, you know, I'll buy these, grow them out for a bit, chop them up in spring, and then hopefully sell them and make a bit of a profit and cover the price of the plants. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to chop this one up, to be honest. It's just too pretty, and yeah, I'm just in love with the leaves. But yeah, another funny story about it. So I was trying to air layer it, and I put like a little plastic cup down here and used the skewers to kind of hold it in place because there was an aerial root coming out of this section here and kind of going sideways. Now, I left it there for about a month, and I was expecting the root to kind of go down and grow around in a circle at the bottom of the cup. It did not do that. It instead hit the cup and decided to go all the way up. So when I had a peek about a week ago, I saw that there was about 3 inches of the roots just going vertical, and had to come up with another method. So I ended up copying Hercuna LaPlanta's method of cutting a hole at the bottom of a Ziploc bag and then putting that down over the root, sort of tightening it at the bottom and then filling it with moss and then closing the top. And the root, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's already hit the end over here, and I'm hoping it doesn't puncture through, but instead grows down and around and around and around. That's the hope, but we'll see what happens because these plants don't always want to do what you want them to do.
And why can't you just let me live my own life?
Anyway, number 1 is my Thai Constellation here. Okay, now let's do a Philodendron. I have an interesting story with this one, and I wonder if you can work out what it is. So if I show you the front of the leaf, it may not be too easy, but if I show you the back, you're probably going to know straight away. It's a Philodendron atabapoense.
No, that's not how you say it.
And man, I've had such a hard time with these plants. I found my first one at Bunnings and fell in love with it instantly when, yeah, it appeared there. I walked in one day and Bunnings would be Warm Ponds outside of Geelong had gotten in an order of some insane, beautiful, I think it was a Philodendron bilietiae, Monstera stanleyanas, the variegated forms, the atabapoense. There were also some Alocasias like the Imperialis, and the bunch of dragon scales, some marlants. Anyway, I ended up lashing out quite a bit of money and getting a few of these.
Probably shouldn't have done that.
But I have since killed, I think I killed the Imperialis, that rotted on me. Bugger. I was so butthurt over that.
My bum hurts.
And I just had a lot of trouble with the atabapoense. I don't know what the deal is, but I think it was just that I left it in the mix that it came in for too long and it just wasn't growing.
I think I'm dying.
And instead, some of the leaves were dying off, and they were sort of dying off from the bottom up. And so I ended up discovering that it had root rot. So I'm assuming that's a sort of signal of root rot. If the leaves are dying from the bottom up, you've got a problem with root rot. If they're dying from the top down and it's a new growth, you might have issues with nutrients or nutrient lockout or too much, too little, etc. Anyway, long story short, I ended up buying... The funny thing was, when I went back to Bunnings a week later, most of the atabapoense and the biliatiers were on sale, clearance for like $10, $5, because they had overwatered the shit out of them, which may have been part of my problem when I got mine. They had people who didn't know what they were doing just watering the plants every day. And I was just like, Jesus!
No thanks. I'm not thirsty, but thank you.
Anyway, so they were doing that, and I bought a whole bunch of clearance ones, brought them home, and had the same sort of problem with root rot. Chopped them up, propagated them, and did the same with my main plant, which I chopped here because the leaves were falling off it. So I've got some in... I think I've got some in perlite, I've got some sitting in water propagating, and I've got some sitting in leca as well, hoping that they do okay. And I have this one in my soil mix, and it has finally pushed out a bunch of growth points, but this big new leaf is coming through. So that was just so good. I was so happy to see that this thing had survived. You can even see this leaf is just in not great shape. It's a bit out of sorts, out of color.
You look like shit.
But considering this is just growing, every time I walk past this on the shelf, I'm just having a look, watching this leaf come out and hoping that it goes off like a frog in a sock and I can pole it up and get it big coming, hopefully with some of the other propagations that I'm doing if they survive. So yeah, number 2 is my Philodendron atabapoense. It's not much of a looker right now, but I have high hopes for it and I think it's going to turn out to be a really nice plant in the near future. All right, number 3 in the rehab zone. Well, number 2 in the rehab zone, but number 3 is my Alocasia Black Velvet. Now, I haven't had great luck with these each time I've purchased these from stores and brought them home. They tend to lose quite a few leaves, and it's been winter until the last 2 weeks. We're now in spring, and so I actually lost quite a few of them. Granted, a few of them were clearance plants that I was hoping to revive, but they ended up rotting.
They all died. Slick, Aldo, Mario, Ralphie.
Anyway, this one pushed out this new leaf when I got it, and the other 3 leaves just all decided to hit the deck. They died pretty quickly. And then the last week, it has pushed out this beauty. So it really goes to show that you just have to kind of persist with these plants. And I love the backside of these plants. They're so dark and nice. And I'll tell you, if you see plants with red on the back of the leaves, from what I understand as a biologist and some of the reading that I was doing, you'll see this on Calatheas, Tenanthes, a lot of Alocasias, some Philodendrons. The red is actually used by the plant to reflect light back up into the leaf. So the light's obviously coming down through the forest canopy, hitting the plant, and they're obviously dark too to try and absorb as much of that light as possible. They're not getting much, so they need to really pack in the chlorophyll and they get dark green leaves. And then any of the light that goes through the leaf hopefully hits the red on the back and then goes back up into the leaf to get used a second time. Well, to be used as kind of like recycled light by the chlorophyll in the leaf. So if you see that red backs of the leaves, that adaptation is what it's for, from what I understand. So yeah, number 3 is my Alocasia Black Velvet, the Alocasia reginula. So I'm really hoping that this one keeps giving me leaves that look like this and just gets bigger and bigger. Number 4, and also a rehab, is my little zebrina here. So the zebrina here was a similar sort of deal where I had it in my sort of lightly chunky soil mix, and for whatever reason every single leaf died. So I don't know if that was dormancy or if it was an issue that I had caused, but I ended up chopping it all the way back to the base because the leaves had all rotted off, and then taking it out and putting it in semi-hydro. So I've got a bit of leca at the bottom here and then perlite, and the water is filled up to about here. And within about a week, I saw the roots were going absolutely nuts you know, making what looks like a sort of spider web of these thin roots all around the bottom. I'm not sure if you can see, but that white line above the glass bottom here is all roots just congregating at the bottom. So it absolutely went off, and this week it pushed out this beautiful leaf.
But I'm coming back and I want it to be different.
So I've got high hopes for this one, and I'm really hoping that it gets back to its former glory. It was probably about this big, and the leaf was about, I don't know, half as big again when I got it and had 3 leaves. But yeah, I've really tried semi-hydro quite a bit with some of my Alocasias that have had hissy fits.
I'm gonna have a BF. Oh my god. She's gonna have a bitch fit.
And they seem to be loving it. So I definitely recommend giving semi-hydro a go if you need to rehab plants, especially Alocasias. Okay, so I'm gonna have to sit back a little bit for number, what are we up to, 5 and 6. So number 5 is my silver sword, or I should say silver swords, because I have 3 of them on this moss pole. And yeah, really cheap, affordable plants here in Australia. You see them at every single nursery, and they're about 15 to 20 bucks for, you know, a 5-6 leaf vine that's growing up usually it's growing up a stake or something. I love this plant.
Oh my goodness, you're so cute.
I don't know, I just love the silvery blue leaves. I love the shape of the leaves. I love the fact that the leaf shape changes. It goes through ontogeny as it grows up vertically. So yeah, and I found this plant to just be so easygoing. The roots are just insane. I'll give you guys a closer look. But you should be able to see, hopefully, that the roots here have just grown into the pole so quickly, so readily, that it's just been a breeze, to be honest, growing this thing. I mean, see if you can see this one here. That has grown all the way from the other side, the node, I think, up here, and then just fully penetrated the moss pole here.
Penetrator.
And yeah, it's the same story the whole way up with all 3 of the vines that I have on here. And the nicest leaf that I have currently is this one. It's about half as big as I think they'll get, maybe a little bit smaller than half as big. And the lobes on the back will get really accentuated, so they should come out to several inches on either side of the back of the leaf when it really gets big and sizes up. So number 5 is my silver sword, and I just pay so much attention to it. Every single day I come past and I want to give it a bit of a mist over where the roots are growing into the moss pole, and I just can't wait to add an extension and see what happens next with it, because it's just going off. Going off like a frog in a sock.
It's going off like a frog in a sock.
Number 6, another moss pole and another big beast. I might actually have to put this on the floor for you to actually see the largest leaves. Wonder if you can see that. There you go. I'll bring you in a little bit. So this guy is my Philodendron Splendid. So it is a hybrid between Verrucosum, which you can probably see from the red on the back of the leaves, and Melanochrysum, which you can probably see from that sort of nice gold velvety color on the front of the leaf. And now this thing I was kind of worried about for a while, because if I bring it up, the bottom leaves are just looking raggedy as. So I thought, oh man, I'm stuffing something up. You know, I'm killing this thing. I don't know if it's just too wet, if it's not wet enough, what the deal is, needs more nutrients.
You look awful.
Thank you.
But the further up the plant I go, the nicer the leaves are. So I assume that it's just the older leaves are dying off. Fingers crossed, that's what I imagine it is. And it's kind of happening on the second vine here at the back as well. But the reason I keep my eye on this one on a regular basis is because, one, the leaves are getting much larger and much more quickly, as you can see by that leaf up the top here. Also, it's just the color of the leaves. I don't know, they're just so nice and dark. I really, really love the veination on them. Being a little paler and really accentuating the sort of texture in the leaf. I just love it. And yeah, it's just pushing out new leaves galore. So there's another one coming here, which I think is going to be bigger than the one up the top.
You're such a big boy.
Yeah. So I just can't wait to see how this one's going to go as well. So that is number 6, my Philodendron Splendid, which, yeah, they are just beautiful. Okay, you made it to the end, guys. Are you ready for number 7? Just give me a sip. Coffee's cooling down really quickly. So number 7 is my Florida Beauty, and it is a beauty. I absolutely love these plants. The variegation on them is so chaotic and random and just beautiful. You will get fully green leaves randomly, and then all of a sudden you'll have, I don't know if you call them full moon white leaves. This one kind of broke my heart recently because it started to brown off a bit.
No, seriously, what the fuck?
So yeah, that sort of hurt me a little bit. How could you?
You were the chosen one!
But it'll do that. So you'll get these full green leaves, full white leaves. In between those two is this little guy that has like quarter quarter moon, I guess you would call it, maybe the 3/4 moon, a little bit of variegation here, and then you'll get these kind of just like marbled variegation leaves, and the most recent one here, which is just beautiful. I absolutely love it. I love that kind of marbled variegation, and I like the creamier yellow and green combination too. I absolutely think it's just stunning. It's just amazing, right?
Right now I want to pee my pants.
Anyway, and it's spitting out another leaf. So this thing is just going off. It's giving me about a leaf every 3 weeks at the moment. It's just going bananas. And yeah, price-wise, I bought this as an investment plant because I know that they're very highly sought after at the moment in Australia.
Must have the precious.
And they are a pretty penny. I ended up getting 2 from the same seller. He wanted $1,400, I think, for the 2 of them. And I ended up bidding him down to $1,200 with postage. But yeah, $600 a plant is quite a commitment for what these currently are. I think the prices are currently coming down. I've been keeping an eye on eBay and watching what the auctions go for to work out market price. I always recommend that you guys do that. If you are unsure of how much a plant is worth, get on eBay, watch what the auctions actually end up going for, and then you will have an idea of what a fair price is. And so if you see something that's listed below what auctions are going for, you know you've got a good deal. And when you're bidding on something in auctions, you have an idea of where's the limit. You know, if it starts getting much higher than this amount that I see them frequently going for, it's starting to not be a deal anymore. So anyway, I thought I got a fair deal on this plant. It was that much when I got it. So it would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves. So I thought a bit over $100 a leaf was pretty good. And I just didn't realize how quickly it was growing. It has just gone nuts. So the plan, even though the prices are sort of dropping a little bit for these guys, the plan is to hopefully grow this out on a moss pole to size it up quickly. This one has really long internodal spacing despite getting quite a bit of light. I've got 2 other Florida beauties which have really short internodal spacing. And so I don't know if that's just phenotypic variation or what, but this one I think is going to be really good on a pole. So yeah, the plan is to grow it out on a pole and then propagate it up, hopefully have some for myself, but then sell some to cover the cost and hopefully make a bit of income as well. So there you go, that's number 7, the Florida Beauty, which is an absolute beauty. It just kills me. Just kills me inside, man. Guys, you got to get one of these wherever you are. Get your hands on one when you can because they're stunning. And I think, yeah, just hold out. The prices are coming down. They're coming down. Anyway, so that is it for me today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Let me know in a comment below which of these plants was your favorite, if any of them. You know, perhaps you hate all of them. You know, Pete, these plants are shit.
They're all rubbish.
Get with it. Or tell me what your favorite plants are for September as well. So with that, guys, I'm Pete. This is Pete versus Plants. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Tooroo!